Hi,
Hi,
how are you today?
very good. How are you?
Fantastic. Thank you for having me on your platform.
I'm so glad you're here. Welcome to our
Thank
live chat series by Rush Fitness. I'm so glad that you're here. Hello, everyone. Harshita, Dipen, hi. So, Gunjan, over to you. And my first question would be, what is your idea of self-love? Because everybody's idea of self-love is very different. So, we want to hear what your idea is.
Absolutely. I think everyone defines self-love differently, but for me, self-love is really self-compassion. To have the kindness for yourself, even when you're going through the highs and lows of your life. And we also have to understand that we are work in progress. None of us will ever reach perfection in this lifetime. To realize and embrace the flaws that make us who we are, and to be
Mhm.
able to look, into a mirror and smile us at ourselves, is really what self-love is all about. Because the days when we go through the highs of life and the days when we go through the lows of life, it's about how you feel about yourself and how compassionately and kindly you can look at yourself while going through the valleys and highs of life.
Okay, so my next question is many of us struggle with just the idea of self love. We feel it's
Yeah,
selfish. It just sounds so selfish, especially for women to have self love.
yeah.
So, what can we do? How can we just a normal woman, who's a working woman, who doesn't have too
Yeah.
many means and resources, how can she bring in self love into her daily routine? What can she do to practice it?
Like you said, a lot of people are really not sure, what self love is about, because we've not been introduced, to the concept as part of the Indian consciousness. I mean, our parents have not sat down with us and said, put yourself first before you put the world. But when we are in an airplane and the airplane is taking off, they say that when if you get an oxygen mask, put it on yourself first before you can help a child. So it's really
Yeah.
important to fill ourselves with self-love. So, Ritu, we were talking about it a couple of days ago, and I said that I recently read the word hedonic adaptation in a psychology book, which basically meant that we become so comfortable with the privileges of life that we forget what we've been blessed with. This is because our forefathers, used to live in jungles. Uh, uh, and they had to fight the lions and the tigers and the cheetah, and they could not really get complacent in life and be happy about what they have, because they always had to be in a fight or flight mode. We have inherited that genetic composition, and that just makes us very complacent about what we've been gifted with. I think doing gratitude is reminding yourself. I've recently read a very famous proverb which said that the boy was really upset about not having shoes until he met someone who did not have legs. We live in an environment where we're never really happy about what we have. One exercise that has tremendously changed my life, and I make sure my nieces do it daily with me, and also get my father to do it sometimes with me, is we do daily gratitude journaling. We write 10 things we're grateful for every day, even if it's a repeat of the day before that. Because what it does is it gets us in a sense of abundance. And the moment you open yourself to the world, you attract more of that. So gratitude works really well for me. Visualization works really well for me. And these are really easier ways of dealing with the environment around us. Visualization is seeing yourself in the way you want to see yourself in the future, but
Mm-hmm.
seeing it as if it's happening now, because the subconscious mind cannot differentiate between reality and fiction. So,
Mm-hmm.
visualization, seeing yourself in the environment that you want to be in, feeling the way you want to feel. So, people don't realize the importance of emotion. If you do anything with a lot of intensity, it becomes
Yeah.
part of your fiber. One of the things that works really well for me is affirmations. And I was speaking
Right.
to a friend of mine who's going through a really difficult marriage. And I was telling her that you need to fill yourself with love because you're surrounded with so much toxicity. So, what you can do is between errands throughout the day, like when you wake up, between work, between, meals, before you go to bed. Just say to yourself, I love myself. So gentle breaths of I love myself, just say that a few times through the day, so that it goes deep, and say it with emotion and say it with intensity. One of the ways of building self-love is every day for 5 minutes, just 5 minutes, and you can start with 2 minutes as well. Sit down, switch on a music. It has to be instrumental or a flute, etc. Um, Sit down, imagine a beam of white light falling on you, and the light is made of love and light. That's it. It's just a beam of universe's love falling on you. As it enters you through your head chakra,
Crown
it
chakra.
goes
Yeah.
into crown chakra, it goes into every part of your body, every cell, every organ, every fiber,
Yeah.
every tissue, every bone. It just fills your body with the universe's love as it falls and drenches you. But and then you start your breath work. You start a conscious inhalation and exhalation, and every inhalation that you're doing, you say to yourself, I love myself. Every exhalation you're doing, you let go of any thought, any sensation, anything that's going on in your head. And the reason I'm saying let go of whatever comes to you in your exhalation is because, Ritu, I love myself should be independent of any thought, positive or
Yeah.
negative.
Yeah,
You
I
can't.
agree. Yes.
So for 5 minutes, all you do is inhale, say, I love myself, exhale, exhale whatever comes to you. Inhale, I love myself, exhale whatever comes to you. It's a really powerful meditation, and it's going
Yeah.
to allow you to shed the weight. And I've started doing that myself to become as good looking as you are, Ritu. But
How are
I
you?
told her, do this exercise every day. And when you inhale and you say, I love myself, and you exhale, you let go of any thought. On good days, you're going to feel really good about your accomplishments, about everything that's happening in your life, about all the good things, and especially if you've got someone to love you, you're going to
Yeah.
feel really good on good days. On bad days, you're going to feel really bad. You're going to have all these negative thoughts. Maybe I'm not worth it, and what a stupid exercise. Or does it really work? That's why I'm saying inhale, the affirmation. But when you're exhaling, exhale whatever comes to you. Do it for 5 minutes every single day. Good days, especially do it on good days. Because if you do it on good days, it becomes a habit. And on bad days, then bad days, because it's become a habit. Even if you don't want to do it, you'll do it.
True.
Yeah.
True. So I agree with you that on good days we can form really good habits because on good days we're happy, and it's very
Yeah.
easy to form good habits.
Yeah.
So we should do good things on good days. So another thing, Gunjan, while talking to you for last many years, you've spoken about mindfulness, and I have actually started practicing mindfulness, whether it's
Okay.
talking, whether it's breathing, whether it's eating, or whatever. And mindfulness really helps. So, what is your
Okay.
take? Mindfulness with meditation, does it help? How does it help in self love?
So we just spoke about it in detail, and I think combining positive affirmations like I love myself with
Mm-hmm.
meditation can almost be magical. Um, like I said, for 5 minutes, sit down every day. Start with 2 minutes, move to 5 minutes, play a
Yeah.
music, inhale, I love myself, exhale, whatever thought comes to you.
Mm-hmm.
You can I do a lot of meditative practices. I spend about an hour every day meditating, and I do 3 different meditations in a day. So every meditation has a different impact on your energy system. I would request whatever meditation one is doing to incorporate this as well. And like I said, you can start with 2 minutes. It's not a
Mm-hmm.
very big time requirement, and then move to 5 minutes. Mindfulness creates more awareness in your everyday living. And if you have more awareness, you move from being reactive to being responsive.
Right.
And that's what we want people to do, to become more responsive. So they're
Correct.
able to make better decisions for themselves. So
Correct.
meditation has huge impact on our subconscious. I mean, it works on our brain in ways that no other activity has proven to. So I strongly recommend meditation to everyone. I'm just recommending people to do this meditation to work on the most important belief system in life.
Sure. So, my other question would be that what is the impact of self-love on our personal and professional life? So many of us are working. In fact, today when
Yeah.
80% of women are working, leave aside the men, what is the impact? And does it get better? Or do we have to spend a lot of time on self-love that we don't have so much time for professional life?
No, I think it's self-love is the way you see yourself. It's not about being selfish. And we've already covered the fact that you can't fill someone else's cup if you don't fill
Right.
yours.
Right.
Ritu, I just want to give you an example about why self-love is really important. Forget about your actions towards other people, right? It's only selfish if you're acting against what the other person wants you to act like. So if somebody says, Ritu, will you do this? And you are really busy because busy opening the gym, and you say, I'm so sorry, I won't be able to come in for the celebration because one, COVID-19 is going on. Second, I have a gym opening. And they'll be like, it's you being so selfish. It's just seven
Yes.
people coming in, right? So I mean, it's only selfish when it doesn't work out for the other person. When you have loving thoughts, you're filling your body with harmony, and you attract what you think. That's what the
Mm-hmm.
book Secret was about. If you want to attract really uh, powerful uh, you know um, experiences in your life that are positive and full of abundance and joy, having joyful perspective towards life really works in doing that.
Right.
And you do
Right.
that by having compassion towards yourself. So your question was, how can it help professionals? I personally believe that you can rise in life as high as your self identity. You can
Mm-hmm.
never rise higher than your self identity. And what is
Mm-hmm.
your self identity? How you see yourself.
Yeah.
And how do you see yourself? How is based on how you judge yourself. So there's a girl who used to work with me. She worked with me for several years, and then she moved to Canada, and we are good friends now. And she says to me that, Gunjan, I give to you for raising me, because you made me believe in myself so much. Because she joined me when she was 22. She moved out when she was 27 because she was shifting countries. um I said that because she's like, you used to always tell me after every piece of work that I did how good a job I did. And that really
Mm-hmm.
raised my confidence. And I'm thinking, why do you need me to raise your confidence? You should be able to
Mm-hmm.
see yourself in the same light. People who succeed in life are the ones who believe they can succeed. And that
Mm-hmm.
comes with your self identity, which comes
Right.
from
Right.
how you see yourself. So
Yeah.
also self-love reduces your stress. It makes you sleep better. It makes you healthier. It makes you kinder, more compassionate, more positive. You're able to bounce back in life better.
And how different is self-love from self-care? These are two different aspects, but are they correlated or do they have anything to do with each other?
They're very correlated, but for me, self care is like an apple and self love is like the fruit. Self care is really part of self love. Self love is the core of your existence. Self care are the activities you do as an expression of your self love. So, whether it is the bubble baths or the meditation retreats or going to rush gym and not making it tomorrow's affair, are
Mm-hmm.
really just expressions of your self love. I talk about creating something like a self care menu for everyone. So what's for me, for example, part of my self-care menu would be reading books, listening to podcasts, working out. Of course, meditation would be a big part. And when you're doing your self-care, become mindful of that as well. Don't work and do self-care because you're not going to get the care that you need. People
Right.
also often come back and say that I don't have the time. And I say, wake up an hour earlier than you do or sleep an hour later. You
Mm-hmm.
can make the time. Do 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 60 minutes. Do what you can, but you've got to have some amount of self-care routine. And your self-care routine has to be very individual. For my mom, it's doing her religious practices. For me, it's doing my meditative practices. Very different. So it has to be very personal. And self-care is really nothing but a reminder of our love for ourselves.
Right. But during this pandemic, the work for and from home leaves little time for self-care activities.
Yeah.
How can the audience design a self-care menu, which is a part of self-love, like you said?
No, I absolutely agree with you. I see all my friends who have children below the age of 14 are very, very busy managing work and, homeschooling their children. And now they're not just homeschooling and managing work, they're also managing the house because a lot of their house staffs who were part-timers are not working with them anymore right now. So there's a lot of responsibility on women, and women certainly suffer with a high quotient of guilt. I was speaking to one of my male friends the other day, and he said, men really don't need to speak about self-care because they put themselves right on top. I said, it's because of the way we've been brought up. We've been given so much guilt about not putting everyone else before us. So
Mm-hmm.
I think in this pandemic, I do agree some people have a lot of time. Like I was asking my friend, do you think I should do this right now? She's like,
Mm-hmm.
do this right now. When else will you do
This is
it?
the
Because
time. This is
this
the
is the
time to do
time,
all this.
because
Yes.
her work is a little on the off right now because of the environment that we are in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, and some of us are really, really busy because we have additional work. So the pandemic has kind of left some people jobless and some people full of responsibility. But I would say that the certain processes that I've spoken about for self-love, gratitude,
Mm-hmm.
visualization, affirmations, meditation,
Mm-hmm.
some
Right.
of it you can do while you're doing your chores, like ironing the
Mm-hmm.
clothes, in the kitchen, between work tasks. You can do your affirmations of I love myself for a few seconds between tasks or while you're doing the task. So I'm not a big believer of multitasking. I believe that anything and everything you do, you should do it very mindfully because you know, uh, you absorb the experience better. And at the end of the day, you've got those 24 hours that you've really spent fully. But if you don't have the time, then do your, do your affirmations or, your visualizations or your gratitude while you're doing your chores. Um, s- um,
True.
and if you can't do any of this, just
Yeah.
limit negative talk,
Sure.
self-talk. Talk
Sure.
to yourself like you would have your best friend talk to you.
Sure.
I tell people whenever they're having trouble with themselves, I ask them, how would you, if they come to me and they say, I'm having trouble. For example, the lady who wrote in saying, I'm overweight, I'm having trouble loving myself,
So,
and I'm having,
so we have another question just like that, where
okay.
the girl says, "Hi, I'm overweight and a victim of bully throughout school. I feel like I have very low self-esteem, and is there any way I can work on my self-esteem? I've been going to the gym since a year, but not successful. So, how would you help her?"
First, I would say speak to yourself like you would have your best friend speak to you. And your self love should be independent of any way you are, of any way your life is. That should be a very strong belief in you that I love myself despite and in spite of everything around me and everything, happening to me, with me, uh, by me. So I'll say to her, love yourself unconditionally. Speak to yourself. Your mental dialogue should be like you would speak to a friend who's experiencing the same, shame. But more
Mm-hmm.
than that, if you love yourself, and I've been practicing this, Ritu, and I've had trouble losing weight for some time. And since you've known me, we've spoken about that. I was slim for years. Then I put on weight when I did my first book. And after I put on a little bit of weight, it's been really difficult for me to shed. But now I feel since I started doing my self-love exercises, I feel I'm more conscious of my food choices. I'm
Mm-hmm.
more diligent about my exercises. And every time I'm thinking of whether I should do an action or not, which affects my health, I ask myself, is this in alignment for, with my love for myself? So if you fill yourself with self-love, it's going to be easier for you to take care of yourself. And I'm seeing that in my own life. I have a long journey ahead, but I feel that by instilling more, by being conscious of my love for myself, I'm making better choices. I'm not eating at midnight because I know that that's going to go to my bum, you know, and not to my blood. So, I mean, it's not going to break down as pure nutrition. It's going to break down as fat. And I'm not missing my workout and not pushing it as tomorrow's agenda because I know that it's good for me. So I'm becoming more conscious of the choices I'm making. So yeah, but we've got a few more questions. We can go through that.
So we have another one by Arun. He says, hello, my question is regarding a friend from Kolkata and his family is passive aggressive, toxic. With him, I have tried otherwise, but their words get to me every time. What do I do?
So this is a
Actually, what do you
really good
do?
question.
This is a case with every other person in the pandemic because everybody has been stuck in the house with a lot of family members who have never lived together like that ever before because everybody goes to
Yeah.
work or people are traveling, they get their space. But this is the first time they have locked up. They have been locked up like that. So what do you do in a situation like that?
Fill yourself. Do your exercises. Because you got to, the way you deal with darkness is not by fighting darkness, but by switching on the light. So how do you switch on the light? Is by inculcating the deep feeling of loving yourself in spite of the passive aggressive toxic environment. And I really do feel for your friend because if you are in an environment like that, it is so difficult. I have a very dear friend of mine who's been married for 11 years and she's in a passive aggressive toxic environment, difficulty in her relationship with her partner, with her in-laws, etc. And I keep telling her that if you're going to stay in the same house, you've got to be diplomatic and you've got to send love to people. And and if someone is old enough, I would say that visualize yourself living a more independent life outside the family. But if you don't have the choice, then visualize yourself cohabiting with other people in a more loving way. Don't push buttons that are not to be pushed. I think relationships work two ways. And just find a way of blending well with each other, but don't let, and in an environment where you're in a toxic people around, you have to do your mindfulness exercises, you have to do your gratitude, you have to do things that make you feel good, because Ritu, we are really nothing but an expression of our belief systems.
I agree.
And the most important belief system is how much you love yourself, because you're only going to have good belief systems if you feel you're worthy of it.
I agree.
And how do you feel worthy of anything? If you feel your self identity is high. So I feel that this is really important. And I think we all must, I mean, I've made a promise to myself, and I feel my life transforming with my self-love practices. And I hope everybody who's come in the audience today takes it with them, and realize your inner dialogue is such a big part of your life. So do your affirmations, do your gratitude, send love to people around you. And always, if you're not able to survive in a certain environment, find a way of moving out. You're worth far more than that.
True, true. So we have another question. Hi, Atul. Hi, Harshita. Srishti. So there's a question from Srishti Prasad, and she says, hi, ma'am. I'm in the process of getting out of a bad marriage, and I feel poorly about myself. How can I love myself in such a state?
So, Shrishti, my heart goes to you because bad relationships can really truly deplete your sense of self-worth. I mean, there are very few experiences that pull you down as much as bad marriages do. Divorce is one of the key, uh, if you look at reasons for depression, bad relationships and divorces are one of the key reasons for depression in America. So, if you're in a bad relationship and you're feeling poorly about yourself, you have to realize that you can't give your key to your give the keys of your happiness to someone else. I was reading a quote the other day which said that you could be the freshest, juiciest peach in the world, but there'll be still someone out there who doesn't like peaches. So that has nothing to do with the peach. That could have been the perfect peach, but there's going to be someone who doesn't like peaches. So, you've got to realize that your identity cannot be defined by someone else's perception of you. You have to work towards all the process. I've spoken about a few processes. You've got to do those. You have to fight those negative self-talk. When your mind says something, just tell it, it doesn't matter. Or if for some people, the word hush really works, because I know a lot of times a thought is coming because of a recency effect. I know that if I have a little tiff with a very close friend of mine, I know in itself that conversation is not going to have such an impact in my life. But because of recency, it recently just happened, I would have all these negative thoughts. I would just say it doesn't matter. So, but it's also really important to do your visualization, see yourself in the future with a really happy partner. And if you're in a marriage that's not making you happy, it's not my place to say it, but if it's not making you happy, get out of it. Your every decision in life that you take, and it's a very controversial statement for me to say today, but I'm going to say it because I believe in it. Every decision you make in your life going forward, you should ask yourself, is it in alignment with my love for myself? Is it making me feel more loved? Is it making me feel happy? I think that's a way of looking at life. Is it making me is it fulfilling me? And your fulfillment does not need to be selfish. And I think if you fill yourself with a little bit of self-worth, you're going to realize that you have more love to give to people around you.
There is a saying that if you love yourself, others will love you. And
I believe that with you.
yeah,
And you will love
yeah,
others also more. Because
exactly, because you're in a
you
happy
will learn
space.
compassion. And you
Yes.
can't love yourself if you don't have compassion, Ritu. Because
Yeah.
we make so many mistakes every single day. If you don't learn kindness, we can't love ourselves. Because every single day we are face to face with all these flaws that we carry. And we have to embrace that kindness, that flaws that we carry. And if you develop the kindness for yourself, you're more likely to extend and express it to other people. And you're going to be less defensive also. You're not going to see people as coming against you, because you know that nobody's coming towards you as, trying to hurt you, because you're not going
Come
to
into
allow
your
that. You're going
space.
to
Yeah.
become more open. So,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. So,
I'm
Gunjan,
speaking more.
sorry. Yeah.
I'm
Go
I'm
ahead.
speaking more in terms of energies, because I believe that it all does matter. And I'll request
Yes, of
everyone
course.
who's in the audience to just practice this for a month. The pandemic has given us, I know for some people it's not given you time, but for a lot of us, it's given us time to work on ourselves, change ourselves because of this amount of time we have, the me time. I'll suggest that work on this self-love experience for just a month and see how it changes your life.
Great. So here we come to an end of our session. Gunjan, it was lovely. I think people really enjoyed it, and we can finally begin our journey of self-love without feeling selfish. So thank you very much for throwing light on that, and so good to have you here. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you, Ritu. Thank you. Bye.
Okay, bye.